When we are working with Entity Framework Core, we need a class that will basically interact with everything that we have to do. We need a data context class for Entity Framework Core that will be used to interact with all the tables, creating new tables, and everything else that we want related to EF Core. Inside our data access project here, I will create a new folder. We will call that as data. Inside that folder, we will create our class file. We will call that ApplicationDbContext, and I will make that a public class. In order to interact with Entity Framework Core, this class will have to use the dbContext class that is present in the EF Core. So for that, this ApplicationDbContext will have to inherit the dbContext, and if we press Ctrl-, we have to add the using statement for Microsoft.EntityFramework Core. This dbContext is responsible to provide all the logic that is needed for Entity Framework Core. Like if we have to access a database, we want to retrieve, update, delete something, or we have to create tables, all of that logic will be provided by the dbContext class. Inside our dbContext, one of the main things that we will create will be dbSet. And dbSet will basically be responsible, or rather be the classes of the tables that we want in our application. Right now we do not even have a database, but let's say in our database we want to create a table for books in our application. Now when we have to create any model, we will be doing that inside our models project. We have a models folder. Let me create a class file there, and I will call that as book. Let me add that. We will make this a public class, and what will be all the properties inside this book class? First property here, let me create an integer which will be ID, and for the name, I am keeping a weird name for now, but I want to show you something. Because of that, rather than ID, I appended book after the ID. So we will call that as ID book. Next, we want a string, and that will be title of the book. Then we will have ISBN, and finally, let me also add price of the book, which will be double price. Perfect. So we have added 4 properties inside our book class. How this table will be created, what will be all the columns and everything, let's not worry about that. But if we have to create a table with 4 columns in our database, this is the class that we have to create, and then in our dbContext, we have to create a dbSet of this book class. We'll say prop, press tab there for the snippet. We want to create a dbSet, and here we need to define the class. Class that we want here is the book class. We have to press Ctrl- to add reference to codingwiki_model because our ApplicationDbContext is inside the data access project. So that is the dbSet we are creating on the book class. We have to give that dbSet some name. Whatever name we give to our dbSet will be the name of the table that gets added in database. How that table gets added, we will see that, but basically remember that whatever name you have for the dbSet will be your table name. With that, we have added ApplicationDbContext in the data access, and we have also created our first model. We still need to add connection string to our database and actually create database and create this book table in there. Let me do that in the next video.